My name is Carrie Healy, and I'm the Director of Admissions and Financial Aid here at Commonwealth School. Thanks so much to all of you for taking time out of your weekend to join us. It's great to see see many of your faces, even if they are in small squares. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our headmaster, Mr. Bill Wharton, who will share a few words of welcome and get us started.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Bill Wharton, and I've been the headmaster here at Commonwealth for more than 20 years, and I have been at the school for more than 35 years, so I know it well. But in that time, we've never faced anything like the current pandemic. I don't think anybody around here has faced anything like this. And in recent months, we've become a hybrid school as faculty rework their courses. We've set up a virtual building. Students have joined classes via Zoom using our regular schedule. They're alternating a week in person, a week at home, the vast majority of our students. We've managed to carry on effectively and have made efforts to keep students connected and healthy throughout this time. And a little over a week ago, as one example, we hosted an all-day virtual Hancock. Hancock is what we call our all-school weekends in the country that we do in normal times. We go up to a New England camp and spend 3 days together. Well, we did it virtually, partly in person, and ended the day, this was a week ago last Friday, with a virtual online talent show featuring music by students and a creative, fun, impromptu speech competition called GAB, which was won by a 9th grader. I've really been heartened by the calm and patience, the creative thinking, and the readiness to adapt shown by our teachers and students. And I think this has been possible thanks to the engagement and commitment that Commonwealth students and teachers always bring to their work. A year ago, when we were here in person, with the help of Challenge Success, a program out of Stanford University that works with high-achieving public and private schools, we surveyed all of our students about their attitudes towards their schoolwork, about the amount of work they have, and the stress they feel. The surveys indicated that our students' engagement with their work and their connection with adults here at Commonwealth was, to quote the Challenge Success researchers, off the charts. They told us that Commonwealth is different from every other school they've worked with, that our students care about understanding material more than they care about grades, that our community is unusually intentional, and our advising program works. They said that our teachers, quote, should keep doing whatever they are doing in the classroom. They said Commonwealth is doing something right. And if anybody would ever like a summary of the findings, we'd be happy to share them. It's this kind of engagement and commitment that's helped us to carry on successfully through the pandemic as students have switched back and forth and teachers have been both remote and in person as well. But even in normal times, Commonwealth's setting and its facilities are unusual. We're in the heart of Boston's Back Bay, 2 blocks from Copley Square, and we're housed in a 5-story 19th century home updated to offer a unique high school setting. I hope you take the time to explore our virtual tour that's available on our website. We just got that up a few weeks ago. But I want to make a couple more points about the experience of Commonwealth, to talk about what it's like, especially in normal times. First, this is a small community in which all voices count. Students help shape the life here. They run clubs and sports, or they start new ones. They help organize and run our weekends in the country, those Hancock weekends. They ask questions to our weekly assembly speakers. Not all students start out here as leaders, but by graduation, most of them have run something and they have the confidence to speak up and make things happen. Second, this is a school for bright, motivated students interested in doing high-powered work because history, math, English, sciences, and languages are interesting, ideas are interesting, producing art, singing, or acting are interesting. It's a lively, close intellectual community of teachers and students from all backgrounds who inspire each other. Most of our teachers have taught at the university level, but they're here because they enjoy working with high school students. They'll take you as far as you can go in all subjects. For example, it's not unusual for students to take 5 or more years of science or extra electives in English or history. Others pursue computer programming or visual or performing arts over 3 or 4 years. At Commonwealth, you work closely with great teachers who know you well, including a faculty advisor with whom you meet regularly one-on-one. It's the relationship between teachers and advisors and motivated students. That's what lies at the heart of the education here at Commonwealth. It's also a school for students who are interested in normal times in taking on the opportunities that a great city has to offer. The City of Boston's our campus. Classes, annual independent projects, community service, assemblies, and sports all connect our students with the surrounding city. They've volunteered with state representatives and senators, interned at university labs and institutes, biotech firms, and countless nonprofits. It's a school, in short, for young people who want to wake up to figure things out for themselves, be treated not as kids to be watched over, but as young adults who are discovering their interests, developing their powers, and finding their own way. And finally, as our mission statement says, this is a school that prepares you to thrive in college and beyond, but it will also invite you, even challenge you, to become the best person you can be. I hope that today's session gives you a sense of the kind of energy and engagement that characterizes Commonwealth and help you decide if this might be the place for you. So thank you very much for coming, and I will hand things back to our Director of Admissions, Carrie Healy.
Thank you, Mr. Wharton. So once again, good afternoon. We're thrilled to see everyone here with us virtually. I think it's fair to say that over the past 6+ months, the way a lot of us think about school, among other things, has changed considerably. And as you look ahead to high school, I imagine that many of you have questions about what this process will look like in the midst of a pandemic. You probably hoped to kick off your school search with an in-person visit or two, as opposed to online sessions. And you may wonder how you'll be able to truly get to know schools in the coming months. Like Mr. Wharton did, let me provide just a bit of reassurance. While last spring brought about many unexpected challenges for our Commonwealth community, one thing has held constant. Commonwealth remains a school committed to engagement and support. We've seen it play out in our virtual Commonwealth, and we're dedicated to making sure that our applicants, that you, experience this same sense of intellectual vitality and connection. While we wish we could host you in person, we're confident that all of the virtual opportunities we've planned will satisfy your curiosity and make you feel excited about our community and our programs. Now I want to spend just a few minutes highlighting a few pieces of the admissions puzzle: the interview, the day visit, and financial aid. Students, during your interview, you and at least one parent or guardian will speak via Zoom with a member of our admissions committee, who will learn more about you and answer any questions you have. Although talking through a screen may still feel a little strange, we urge you to try to treat this interaction like a conversation. We're not trying to intimidate you. We're not trying to stump you or trick you with impossible questions. We truly want to know who you are and what makes you tick. Following the interview, we'll invite all applicants to visit virtually for the better part of a school day. During that visit, you'll get to attend remote classes and all-school meeting, which we still have even in virtual Commonwealth. Complete a couple of writing assessments instead of application essays you would do on your own, and spend time with our students. This follow-up visit allows us to get to know you a bit better, and it gives you access to our teachers' enthusiasm and expertise from the very beginning. Along with the nuts and bolts of the admissions process, another big part of the equation for a lot of families is financial aid. Our need-based financial aid program empowers us to attract strong applicants from a wide range of backgrounds and compose a well-rounded and talented class. Over a third of our students have financial aid grants this year, and their families pay anywhere from 1% to 90% of annual tuition. Our program also covers the cost of textbooks and extends to things like transportation, tutoring, and school-related technology. If you'd like to know more about the financial aid process, I encourage you to attend the presentation later this afternoon. Of course, you're also welcome to contact me at any time. We understand that each family's financial picture is different, and we're glad to speak with you. So as you're gathering information, please know that we're here to support you. No question is too small or silly, and we're always happy to troubleshoot, offer reassurance, or even just say hello. We understand that this process can feel a little overwhelming, even in the most usual of times. We'll do our best to make it stimulating and gratifying for you. We hope you'll identify Commonwealth as a place where you can grow and thrive these next few years. Thank you for taking this first step with us. And now we're going to turn things over to a few of our current students, Anirudh, Amalia, and Miles. They'll share just a few thoughts with you after introducing themselves and answer some questions. So, Miles, do you want to kick off?
All right, so my name is Miles Kadama. I'm a junior this year, the only junior on this panel, and I live in Westwood. Previously, that is before coming to Commonwealth, I was a student at the Sage School also. So I wanted to sort of kick off this panel by mentioning to you one of the elements of the Commonwealth experience that I feel makes it most special, and that is the clubs program. So the way that student clubs work at Commonwealth is that they're all student run. In normal times, these will be held at lunchtime or after school, and anybody is welcome to start a club. All you need to do is have the bravery to stand up at announcements and sort of raise your voice to let people know that you're trying to offer something. And I would like to to give you a sense of the flavor of Commonwealth clubs, tell you a little bit about two clubs in particular with which I've been especially engaged. The first of these is the math team. So as the name of this club suggests, there is a competitive aspect to it. We do competitions at the regional and national level. Think of the AMC or GBML, etc. And these are fun, but optional. The core of the club is made up of different content that we look at that sort of falls outside of the main flow of a high school math curriculum, even at Commonwealth. So for instance, last year we looked at puzzles related to infinite sets and some of the fundamentals of measure theory. And I think that this sort of showcases one of the key elements of Commonwealth clubs, which is the free exchange of sort of ideas and interests that makes them so vibrant. And I would also like to mention the debate team. I'm co-captain of this club this year, and we compete mostly at the regional level in debate and public speaking competitions. I think that the main thing that I would like to say about this team, this club, is that it shows sort of the level of autonomy that's given to students at Commonwealth in general. If you so desire, you have the opportunity to really lead the charge and take responsibility for something that's your own. And so I look forward to answering any remaining questions. I'll conclude with that.
Great. Thank you so much, Miles. And next we'll hear from Amalia.
Hi, my name's Amalia and I'm a senior. So I came to Commonwealth from the Norwood Public Schools, but I currently live in Newton. And what made me fall in love with Commonwealth initially and stay in love for a very healthy 4-year-long relationship was its warm and welcoming community. What actually made me decide to come to Commonwealth was my revisit day, which is when accepted students get to come to a day of Commonwealth school along with other accepted students. And based on conversations that I've had with some of my classmates, this was a large deciding factor for them as well. So what I remember most was during lunchtime, sitting in the multi-purpose gym that we lovingly refer to as the Kappa Gymnatorium, at a table with a mix of other visiting students and students who were already enrolled. And what struck me was just how engaged and how kind everybody was and how much everybody listened to each other. And again, we're just really engaged with the conversation we were having. And it was such an energy of comfort and even familiarity, despite the fact that we had only been there for half a day, that it felt as though we blended in with the rest of the lunchroom. And it felt like we belonged, again, despite having only been there for around half a day. So when I went home, I was confident in the fact that I would be accepted into this community. And I was already fond of the environment, so I decided to enroll, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Thanks, Amalia. On to Honorud.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad that Miles brought up math because I'm going to talk a little bit about that too, but I'm going to take it in a different route. So hi, my name is Anirudh. I'm a senior, and I live in Acton, and before Commonwealth, I went to Acton's public junior high school, R.J. Gray. So I came to Commonwealth feeling energized by its community, like Amalia said, and knowing that I would be given the space to grow, most importantly in mathematics. Math has been my biggest passion ever since I was young, and I'm guessing that many of you prospective students feel the same way. Having taken classes like linear algebra and differential equations, I can surely say that Commonwealth will not let you down. But as an 8th grader, an interest in math somehow naturally equated to a dislike of humanities. So one of the things I'm most grateful for is Commonwealth, that gave me the tools to prove this wrong, helping me view analytical reading less as a chore, but more like a puzzle. I'm reminded of a day in Miss Eskelin's English 10 course, when my friends and I were decoding Zora Neale Hurston's "Their Eyes Were Watching God." Every time one of us offers an interpretation, we're met with the much more difficult question of, what specifically in the language tells you that? So we go back and try again, and are met with the same question. But it didn't really seem tedious. It felt more and more like an intriguing math problem. Classical literature became one complex equation of words, and my job as a writer was to discover each and every word's relation to the bigger picture. Just like this example, Commonwealth will allow you to see the intersectionality between the subjects you love and the subjects you might not be so accustomed to. And after 4 years, you'll come out a better writer, better mathematician, and better student overall.
Thanks very much, all three of you. So I'm going to get things started with a question or two. And as you three know, feel free to hop in at any time, even though this Zoom world we find ourselves in makes that a little bit challenging, but just jump in. So Mr. Wharton mentioned Commonwealth's advisory program, and I'm wondering if you all can share some thoughts about advising and how the system works.
Yeah, I can totally take that one. So as a freshman, you're assigned a advisor. It's a one-on-one program. And one thing that I found really amazing about the program is that you really get to know your advisor well. I've had the same advisor for 3 years. He went on sabbatical this year, which is kind of unfortunate, but it becomes such a personal relationship. And I think that's one thing that you can talk a lot about at Commonwealth. there's not a very big separation between teachers and students. And you can make the advising program how you want it to be. You can ask for help in your courses, talk about life outside of school. And yeah, I found it to be really rewarding.
Yeah, I might add, one thing that I appreciate about the advisory program is that your advisor is really there to look out for you in particular and your specific needs. So to give one example, last year when we switched to all online schooling, my advisor kept asking me about what I was doing to stay active, which sort of bothered me at first, but eventually I sort of came around to the idea that it really was for my own good, and that I needed to be pestered to keep getting out there and keep staying active. So that's just one example, though, of a wider pattern of advisors sort of catering to the specific needs of their advisees.
Yeah, the advisory system is the best example of the support that Ms. Healy mentioned when she at the beginning of the session. And as Anirudh and Miles both said, the specificity and the way that each student can make the advisory system what they need it to be is, I think, the best part of it. Some people I know meet with their advisors a minimum of once a week, sometimes two if it's needed. But sometimes students choose to meet with them every other week. It's really on a case-to-case basis, and it's just such a personal level of support for every single student to make sure that they're all doing the best that they can.
Thank you. We had a follow-up question about how advisors and students are matched, so I can share just something quickly there. So once we know who's joining us in the late spring, our admissions team actually makes those initial matches. So we get to know students very well during the process, and so when we're deciding what those matches should look like, we're thinking about perhaps a subject that a student really likes. You know, if you're really into science, we might try to match you with Mr. Barcy, one of our physics teachers, or Miss Sundberg, our biologist. We also keep in mind students and advisors' temperaments. And so it is a bit of a puzzle, but we really try to be purposeful about those matches. And midway through the year, students can switch advisors. We actually ask everyone to either say, I'd like to stay with my current advisor, or they might select a few other options if they wish to move on to someone else. And we really try to make that, that switching process as easy as possible. And we really reassure students that you're not going to hurt anyone's feelings. If I've been assigned your advisor and you connect more with your English teacher, I want you to move on to that English teacher. So it really is personalized. We also had a question in the chat, which you guys may have seen, about our art program. Can you guys say a few words about your experiences in the arts, please?
The arts were actually another big reason why I came to Commonwealth. The school that I was supposed to go to, so Norwood High School, only allowed you to take one art or one elective. And as an artistically inclined person, that was simply not enough for me. Throughout my years at Commonwealth, I've actually I took two arts my freshman year, and I'm taking two arts this year, but only because my third art isn't being offered due to the pandemic. But for my sophomore and junior year, I was actually able to take 3 arts plus an elective for each year and still have it fit into my schedule. So every student is required to take an art every year to get 1 art credit. And there's just such a wide range of offerings for arts that even if you're not an artistically inclined person like I am, you'll be able to find something that you really enjoy.
And I think the fact that you can take more than one art really speaks that a lot of our students, or we want students to dive into whatever and try new things, try new arts. For example, in my case, I had never done acting in my entire life. Well, I did one course in 8th grade. I was like, okay, maybe that's enough to try acting classes at Commonwealth. And now that is my biggest art that I've done over the past 4 years. So it's really a great system for you to just try something new, even if you're not, as Amalia said, artistically inclined.
Adding on to that, I'll say there is definitely room to not be super committed to an art. There's room for a student to, say, be super into acting and take that every single year. But equally so, in my freshman year, I took drawing and painting, and I was pretty bad at it. But the drawing and painting teacher, Mr. Caleb Colpitz, was able to sort of sit down with me and look at ways in which I could still be challenged by the course and sort of be more engaged than I had been early on in the year. So there is definitely quite a bit of flexibility in the arts curriculum.
Thank you. So we're getting a number of great questions popping into the chat. And I should just say that we only have a few minutes left of this session, but we're going to save the chat. So we'll make sure that we'll make sure that we follow up. So please don't be dismayed if we don't have a chance to get to your question. Let's see here. What should we move on to? Here's one. Can you all say anything about overcoming an academic challenge? Clearly Commonwealth's a rigorous school, and it's probably not all sunshine and roses. So can you think of an example in which you felt maybe a little too challenged, and what you did and how you overcame that?
Just right off the bat, I am a solidly humanities person. So math and science aren't exactly my strongest suits. And my first challenge came pretty early. During freshman year, I was terrible at biology, just completely awful at it. No particular reason why. I was struggling a lot in biology, and the way that I was able to get over that was with close work with my teacher. And I think that's one of the best things about Commonwealth, is the fact that all the teachers really want to help you and want you to do the best that you can. So if you're struggling in a class, it's incredibly easy to just send a quick email to a teacher and set up a weekly meeting. And they're so happy and so excited. They're so excited about their specialties that they're so excited to share that with you and to help you with anything that you may be struggling with. So I just set up a weekly meeting with my biology teacher, and having her be able to answer all my questions and explain things that I didn't quite get the path of was incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I think what Amalia said is exactly right. Our headmaster, Mr. Wharton, has famously an open door policy, but he's far from the only Commonwealth teacher who has such a policy. So, for instance, sophomore year, when I was taking Chem 1, I relied pretty heavily upon the office hours that our chem teacher, Mr. Wolf, offered every morning. And as Amalia said, I would like to add that teachers at the school, they don't resent having to answer your questions. There's no shame in setting up a quick meeting or sending an email, and they're really quite approachable.
Yeah, I want to even say, adding on to that, that I remember in freshman year, writing was not my strong suit. So I sent an email to Miss Tyson asking her, and I quote, "How do you write a sentence?" And she responded to that with exactly the format of how I was supposed to take quotes from the text, analyze them, and put them into one sentence so that I could write an effective 4-sentence paragraph. And I think accessibility to teachers is something that's really prevalent here at Commonwealth.